Greetings, everyone. The Minister of Home Affairs, Dr. Aaron Mtswaledi, that is to say, the South African Minister of Home Affairs, has been talking about various visas, about 17 visas that people can apply for, particularly holders of the Zimbabwe exemption permits. When initially we said that we do not think in terms of the requirements people qualify, the minister said there are 17 visas where people should choose from and then apply for a waiver, ask that a certain requirement should be waived so that by the 30th of June 2023, they will have applied as per the cabinet decision of which was announced on the 25th of November 2021, that the holders of Zimbabwe exemption permits must move to other visas. The minister continues to argue that, which is correct, that the ZEP is a temporal visa. It was issued under special circumstances, and holders of ZEP cannot continue using a temporal document. He says it prevents people to get other benefits because, for instance, if you're on ZEP, you cannot apply for a permanent residency visa. You need to get to a mainstream visa, which from there you can later on qualify for a permanent residence permit, which then leads to whether citizenship. But of course, there are laws that are coming in, which we spoke about after the ANC conference, which seeks to overhaul the Immigration and Citizenship Act. We will discuss those once they are operational, but for now they are before Parliament. So what we want to do in this video briefly is to look into some of these visas that holders of ZEP can apply for, or any other person who wants to reside in South Africa. You can also qualify to apply for these visas. But those migrants that are already in South Africa who are not holders of ZEP, the law says you cannot change the condition of your visa in South Africa. It means you have to go back to your country of origin. But if you are in India, like I said in last time, that we have many comrades in India that follow this YouTube channel. If you're in India, you want to come to South Africa, you apply while you're in India. So these are some of the visas that are offered in South Africa. Under work visas, there are 4 work visas provided for by the South African Immigration Act. The first one being the General Work Visa. Under the General Work Visa, you need a formal job offer to apply, and your future employer must be able to prove that they could not find a suitable South African resident or citizen to fill the position. That's the General Work Visa. So for the holder of ZEP, this is the condition that you ask the minister or the Department of Home Affairs to waive, which says your employer must prove that they did not find a South African. That's where, because people always ask, what is it that should be waived? A South African qualifies to work for the job that you do. But because you have been part of the South African economy for over 13 years, you then ask the minister to waive that part where it says the employer must prove that a South African was not found who can do the job. So when you write your letter, you then indicate that while you understand that a South African can work or do the job that you do, and that the employer must prove. So you are asking the Department of Home Affairs or the minister to waive that requirement, so that when you apply, there is no need for your employer or yourself to prove that a South African was not found who can do the job. So I think it answers a lot of questions from those who always ask to say, what do we ask an employer to waiver. I mean the Department of Home Affairs to waiver. That's the general work visa. The second one under work visas, which is straightforward, is a critical skills work visa, which a number of those who qualify have applied. It says you do not need a job offer to apply for this visa, but your occupation must appear on South Africa's critical skills list. In other words, if your skill is listed in the critical skills list, which was published or reviewed in February 2022, you do not need a job offer. You simply apply for a work visa because your skill is needed in South Africa. So in other words, you can apply for a critical skills work visa even if you are not gainfully employed. So it's important that this is also understood. So you should not sit back and say, yes, my skill is listed, but for one reason or another, I'm not working, therefore I will not apply. You need to apply, particularly if you're a holder of the Zimbabwe exemption permit. Then the third one is intra-company transfer work visa. This one says this visa is to transfer employees from an overseas company to a South African branch, affiliate, or subsidiary. I'm not very sure if it is applicable to a holder of ZEP. But if you work for a big company, because I know that there are other ZEP holders who travel across the continent, you think you qualify for this visa, please do apply as an intra-company transfer work visa. Then the last one under the corporate under work visa is corporate visa. It says the application process starts with a corporate who wants to employ a large number of employees for an extended period of time. So if you're a ZEP holder, you work for a big company, you might try your luck and apply. Firstly, apply for a waiver, indicate the company that you work for. Then once the minister signs off, then you apply. The minister says he has been signing, continues to sign these waivers on daily basis. Then the second category of visas which you can apply for is spousal and life partner visas. It says spousal and life partner visas are for husbands, wives, and life partners of South African residents or permanent residents. This includes same-sex marriages or life partners, as these are legal in South Africa. Those on temporary visas will be allowed to work, study, or do business with an endorsement. Permanent residents are free to do any of these. No endorsements are required. You can, if say your partner is a South African, or if your partner is on permanent residence, you can apply under them. Or if they are South African permanent residents, you apply under them. If you are married, you apply for a spousal visa. If you are not yet married, you apply for a partner's visa. Because other people will say, I'm in a relationship with a South African or with someone who's on permanent residence. We have no marriage certificate. Others can't prove that they are married under what is called customary law, which is acceptable, I believe, in South Africa. You can go for a partner's visa to prove that indeed you are in a relationship. In one video, we did speak about the interviews that have been done so that they establish that indeed you are in a relationship. And we had said this also will require an affidavit to as a proof that indeed you are in a relationship. So once your waiver is cleared, your waiver application is cleared, you can apply either for a spousal or a partner's visa. So it's important that you do so before the new laws come into effect, because remember, when we're discussing this after the ANC conference, we said that the paper that was discussed at the policy conference of the ANC in July was that you need not to link a marriage to documentation, but under the current laws, you can still apply. Let's look into the third category of visas, which is relative visas. We also receive many questions in respect to this visa. It says relatives visas for immediate family members of South African residents or citizens. Immediate in bracket family includes both first kin and second kin family members. First kin family members are husband, wife, children, parents. And then second kin are brothers, sisters. Maybe previously we've misdirected people when they ask questions, because someone will say, my uncle is on a permanent residence, in particular referring to what is called the Mandela ID. And the person will say, what if my brother, my sister, or my uncle? So, excuse me, according to the relatives visa, you are, if you are in that situation, you are treated as a second kin. This is what is written here. So, for instance, if I am on ZEP, my aunt is on a permanent residence permit, because the years here are not stated to say how my age, whether I should be below 18 or above. It is just silent. So one assumes that I will then apply for a waiver, and they say I'm applying for a waiver to be cleared to apply for a relative's visa on the basis that my aunt is on a permanent residence permit. In the past, I think we've said one should be below 18 to qualify. But here it doesn't mention years or ages. So it is just silent. So, but we will do more research on this. But under the circumstances, if you're a holder of ZEP, I think you can apply. First, apply for a waiver. It's advisable to apply for a waiver. But if you're a first kin, relative, first kin, if you're a husband of a South African or a person who's on permanent residence, you are a child, you are parents, you can apply. I know that there are other parents, excuse me, it's a holiday, so my voice is a bit hoarse. I know that we've dealt with other parents who will say that their child was born in South Africa, is South African, maybe the father or mother is South African. People now are divorced or on separation. They are living with the child who is South African. So according to here, therefore, if I understand this correctly, you are treated as a first kin, a relative. So you apply for a relative visa on the basis that your child, you are a parent of a South African child, right? So you need to apply. So don't stay back. You need to apply so that you might be given a relative visa on the basis that you are a parent of a South African child. I remember one lady was saying her son was born in South Africa in 1992 to a South African father. The child is South African. They've divorced on separation. Therefore, was wondering if can apply on the basis that is a parent to a South African. What we need to establish, which we have doubted in the past, it's important that we clarify this, because others will say, I have a 5-year-old son, and they have said, we don't think that you can apply on the basis that your child, you are saying your child is South African, but is 5 years. Child can't take care of you. But we'll need to get clarity on this. We will try to get clarity so that we advise accordingly. I'm sure in the next video we will deal with that. So let's end, because the video is getting long. Let's end by looking into those. We will continue in the next video to look into other categories of visas, so that holders of the Zimbabwe exemption permits will have applied by the 30th of June 2023. If you have any questions, please write in the comment section. Like this video, circulate, and please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Otherwise, enjoy your holidays. Goodbye.